So we are climbing up the face of this hill. I think there might be a little shaft up here as well. Well, the barbed wire is open enough to go through. Get a little closer look at the mine shaft. Let's go. Every ghost town had their garbage piles. Skeleton of a building, but the wood floor still existed. But now it's just down. Welcome everyone to Weekend Escapades. Today I am standing in front of the old Bullfrog jail. Now this jail housed a lot of the bad guys, if you will, from Rhyolite Ghost Town and Bullfrog, all located in Nevada. Well, the walls are still pretty solid, very thick, and they've patched them up so it holds up pretty good. Fascinated by the old iron window. It looks like there was 2 cells, or at least 2 doors for sure. There's one door was there, and then one door over here. Entering this door, that had like a window that went through to the other side, so you could see from one cell to the other. Showing you the way that's put together. Needed that extra piece. Must have taken off a piece of equipment and welded it in there. If we walk over here, you can see out the window where Rhyolite's going to be right up the road. It looks like the part of an old seat, springy seat, but it seems like every time we go to a ghost town, we find one of these old uncovered springy bed springs or seats for a car. Over that direction there's a little building. I'm going to walk over there, but last time we were here it was standing up and we got to walk through it, but it is down. You never know what you're going to find when you come back to these ghost towns. Again, that one was up and now it's down, so it's a matter of time before they all come down, I guess. But right behind me is this famous train station. Now, this building is very ornate, you know, for the town. They did everything big here in Rhyolite. They expected this to be a huge city in Boomtown, but it's one of the most short-lived towns out there for the way it was built. The buildings are so heavy constructed, the banks. And this is no slouch, but again, they expected this town to really be something out here. Wouldn't it be nice to get this fixed up and have it an area where you could go in and make it like a visitor center or something? It's just so much. There's a lot of people here. You think you'd be able to support that. Got the old rail car here. Union Pacific. I don't think I'd trust that ladder anymore. But this is definitely desert weathered. You can see the paint coming off on the inside. You can walk all the way around it, but again, barbed wire. Not supposed to go in there. Every ghost town we go to, again, the pile of cans. Every ghost town had their garbage piles. This is a big enough pile to where you could probably see that with a Google Earth. Last time again we came right in here and saw this building, walk right through it. It was kind of nice. It was like a skeleton of a building, but the wood floor still existed. But now it's just down. Hey, bed springs again. Found them again. So we walked through a door right there, and that was the window that we looked out of. And here's the floor. So that whole roof lifted up and fell over this direction. Watch for nails. But that's where we walked through. That whole thing was picked up and blown over. So last time we were here, didn't really explore this building here, but there's like steps behind me. Walk down the steps, kind of go inside what would have been the basement of this building. And you see the door where it came in, and that's what's left of an exterior wall. But you can see the wall here, but it's just been covered with dirt and things. Look at this wall here. It would have been a exterior wall or interior wall, whatever it is on this side, I guess. This looks like the inside, and this would have fell down. There's even some wood in there. wood braces holding it up. This wall will probably be down next time we come here. It's getting pretty eroded. I don't know what this building would have been. This is a typical miner's cabin that would have been built here. It looks like they reconstructed this, but it looks original. So, late 1920s. Actually, it looks like it is still that cabin. Just the wood porches are not on it, as you can see there in that picture. So the so-called miner cabin was built using cast-in-place rubble and Adobe construction with typical stone. So this was the typical building in Rhyolite. Cast-in-place construction used wood blocks and planks to form a box. The lengths of the desired walls and stone in rammed earth or Adobe was then placed inside the box to form the first course of the wall. So they basically made like a form at the bottom, and that would be it. You can see kind of around the bottom of it, it makes kind of a form, and then they would start placing the stones and move on up. And this was all intact when we were here last time, and somebody took it upon themselves to do that to the window, which is sad. Somebody, you know, you just have to do it, right? You know, you're so important that you have to bust stuff. It's kind of sad when you're looking at history, things that developed a nation, and people come along and just have to throw stuff at it and paint it. You should never take spray cans of paint to locations like this. It's just eliminate the temptation to do it. But I'll never understand the temptation to paint. Put your name or tag something as beautiful as this old miner's cabin. As we walk around this side of it, a little bit of a story. They say that due to the proximity of this building to the red light district, which is right over there, and there's some foundations, because it's on the main road, they say that this miner's cabin at one time may have been used as a brothel. But you know how history is. When it's that old and people don't write it down in a ledger or keep records, who knows what went on in this building? Maybe shenanigans. We're gonna head over to the jail. There's some really nice iron doors on this thing. Now this was built later after the one in Bullfrog. So as Rhyolite developed, they built their own jail, but as Rhyolite was growing up, they used the Bullfrog jail, which was really a giant 2-cell jail for back in the time. But right over there is where we're gonna go. You see the line up the hill. There's a mine shaft there and one way up there. Now they're barbed wired off for good reason, but we're still gonna go get as close as we can and see what's left of those. So before we even get to this jail that's right in front of us and explore those mines, we haven't even been on the main street of Rhyolite. This was one giant town. It was said that 5,000 to 8,000 people lived here. In a matter of no time, there were only 14 residents left. As a matter of fact, the school was being built because they expected it to be so large, but before the school was even finished, it was closed. And also, the money, I believe it was $20,000 is what the school cost to build. It didn't get paid off till 1970. Well, this town existed in around 1907. That's a long time to pay on a note. Now the jail that I'm going to share with you here in front of us, we're going to get real close to it and see these iron doors. Now it was built in January of 1907. The cost of this jail was around $5,000 for the construction. And there was a beautiful front to this jail. So this would have been the entranceway right here, like the front office in this area. And that would have been the iron door to get back to where the cells were. So I guess the sheriff used to be right here in this area. Wood stove with a pipe would have went out right there. Looking out these two windows up at the mine shafts and the miners going in and out, while knowing behind that door were the prisoners. Let me tell you, that is one heavy iron door. They've secured it now, welded it probably from the other side. You can't open it. But that is a heavy, heavy door. That's where they would have locked it up right there. So from the back of the jail right here, you can see where the iron door is. You go around the side, you can tell that this was like the area for the sheriff, the office. And then here's the side iron door right here. Same style door. Super, super solid. You're not getting out of there. There's the barred up windows. A few things in there. A much bigger barred window in the back. Definitely had a nice picturesque window to look at all the landscape, I guess. Actually, it would overlook kind of the red light district. Remind you why you're in there in the first place. Right here's a large foundation. You know, this right above the mine shaft up there. This large foundation would have been part of the material handling that was here in Rhyolite. So right here next to the jail, I'm sure there was like a head frame or something that was constructed right on this. We'll go look around over here and then we'll go up to those mines. What's left of a utility shed or whatever right next to this. You see a lot of videos on Rhyolite, right? So this is nothing new, but one of the things people don't do is they don't share a lot of this with you. So the old pieces of wood that are still stuck here, and the cement that's just right in the rock. Well, the barbed wire is open enough to go through. Get a little closer look at the mine shaft. Let's go. Okay, so we are climbing up the face of this hill. We see some things up here. Last time we didn't come to this one. We think there might be a little shaft up here as well. Now that I'm up here, it looks like it's kind of collapsed and they covered it. You can see the rocks here. It's almost like, looks like on purpose. Like there was a shaft right up there. I see some stakes. Probably was barbed wire. I'll see if I can get up here. It's really loose. Now, there was definitely a shaft there. Like it was filled in because they used to have barbed wire around it. You can see the stakes. Would have been right here, looks like, to me. Right there. See the stakes? Where they would have barbed wired it off. There's about 3 stakes over there. And a few here to keep people out, but they looks like they probably collapsed it. If anybody knows what shaft that would have been. Again, we're pretty high up. Rhyolite being down there, you can see all the streets of Rhyolite. Wow. Mines overlooking the town, and the town looking back at the mines. So this right here, you can tell, was a dig area. Maybe they filled it in, I don't know. But right on the other side of it, right over here, Lisa's taking some photos, is a shaft we can get a better picture of. And in front of me is a giant shaft that goes down that's covered with heavy steel. But they obviously dug here. So here's what they've got here on this shaft. I don't know if you can see anything. There's a lot of barbed wire here. Can't really get much of a better look unless I balanced on that metal to get closer, but there's a lot of big timbers in there that have collapsed. I'm literally taking barbed wire to the chest here. I don't know if we can get closer. Well, we got up there and looked at those mines. You can see how slippery and steep it is going down. Moving on. Well, this is Mona Bell's I guess, grave. But this story is quite long. It's almost a video in itself, but it was said that Mona Bell, of course, was here and worked in the red light district. And they say that she really didn't want to work in the red light district, but she did. And ultimately, at her passing, that this is her grave, but the story says that she's actually not buried here. There's a lot of high heels on the fence around it. So people have left a lot of money in what looks like things they think are important, but looks like garbage, a lot of it. Unless you consider a plastic whiskey bottle or wine bottle keepsake value. That's said to be Mona Bell's grave, but again, it's said that she's buried somewhere else. But preserved just the same. Protected by old shoes. So after review, Mona Bell was actually shot and killed here, but later buried in Washington, where she was from. So what happened was a gentleman that was put in place to take care of her while her husband was in prison for crimes. Actually, they shot each other and Mona died. And a nice lady that used to run a gift shop up in the train depot made this fake grave here. But yet Mona Bell is buried in Washington. So to correct my story and get the facts right, it's a long story, but that's how it ended. So this is a Red Light Row. And this building foundation out here, now I think the dance hall is to the left, there's another big foundation. Doesn't really say what this foundation is, but this is fairly significant. All the buildings that were built here really were dug into the ground. And this kind of had a little area off here, walls, and then one over here as well. So you still see the steps on the other end. This was a good sized building. Again, not sure what this was, but look at this. This definitely looks like where there was running water in a sink. Pipe coming out, and like a sink right there. I didn't even know that was here. It definitely looks like that would have been some kind of a place for water or a sink. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe somebody knows when you watch it. Maybe you know more about Rhyolite than me. I'm just fascinated to be here. A real, kind of a deep, 6 foot deep basement. Whenever you see like a low in the wall like that, you always think there's a window there. Because that's how buildings erode. But here's the stairs going out the other side. Fascinating that the stairs, although a little eroded, still exist. Let's walk up the stairs. I just walked out of an old 1900 building. Probably made in about 1906. All right, so if anybody knows, let me know which one the dance hall is. I think there's a placard over here on this one, kind of walking through the Red Light Row, where there was a bunch of wood buildings that of course burnt down, but a lot of Rhyolite was dismantled as well. So they dismantled the buildings, took all the metal and all the wood because it was scarce back then when they tore this place down. A lot of it, the railroad tracks and all the metal and things, were used during World War II. They needed that product, you know, to refurbish, remelt, and turn into steel for the efforts of the war. But I think this one right here is the actual dance hall. So this is where Mona Bell would have worked. So she worked in one of the dance halls. And again, this, I think this was it. So the dance hall where Mona Bell worked. I'll get over here to the placard. I should have looked at the placard first, so I'm kind of going in reverse. As you can see where the door, that would have been like the doorway if you can see it, kind of the outline in the rock right there. But it came in and there's kind of terrace in front, almost like it was landscaped. So wherever you kind of have to use your imagination at these locations, just based on wear marks and what would have been there. So let's go look at the placard over here. So this is it. This is the Adobe Dance Hall. The construction of the Adobe Dance Hall was completed in May of 1905. And it is, I guess its name applies. The hall was constructed of local stone that was stacked in place and then mortared together with Adobe. It was a quite large building, but that's really all that's left. A lot of stone, and the Adobe, of course, is all they eroded into the ground. But this is where Mona Bell would have worked. This was a popular location here on Colorado Avenue in the red light district. It was owned by Bob Bynum, a prospector who had purchased the lots for $1 a piece. So all of these lots out in Rhyolite sold for $1 a piece. Gosh, that's pretty inexpensive. Walls over there, that's where the cribs would have been. And there were very small rooms, of course, where the ladies of the night or ladies of the dance hall would have worked.
Rhyolite was born in a gold rush. It happened when Shorty Harris and Ed Cross struck gold in 1904 in the Bullfrog Mountains west of Death Valley. One of the towns that sprang up after the strike was called Rhyolite, named for the area's unique volcanic rock. Rhyolite grew as long as the gold held out, but from 1905 through 1910, in its heyday, Rhyolite had 3 trains, 3 newspapers, 3 swimming pools, 3 hospitals, 2 undertakers, an opera, and symphony. And it also had 53 saloons. By 1914, Rhyolite was in decline, and by 1919, it was a deserted ghost town. Its last resident died in 1924. Unique among mining towns, Rhyolite had many buildings made from permanent materials rather than canvas and wood. So there's a lot more to see here in this ghost town than many of the old gold rush spots in these parts of the country. And as we drive down this main street in Rhyolite, you can see now that it is deserted, as all of the old wood buildings and materials are gone.
All right, so we finished up at Rhyolite Ghost Town, and on the way back through, past is Beatty, Nevada. Beatty, Nevada is known for quite a few things. Pretty good restaurant there as well. Went to a barbecue restaurant. Pretty good stuff. But this old plane is laying out here past Beatty because it is located at what was an old brothel. That's right back there in those trees. And this plane is here because they were having an event. A big marketing event is what it is said online and what I've heard. That they were going to have people jump out of this, and whoever parachuted out and landed on a mattress out here in the middle of the desert was going to get basically a free night stay. Hey, there was a jackrabbit. A free night stay in the brothel, if you know what I mean. So you can look that up and see if that's true. But it was said that it had some problems and it crashed and landed in the desert and it stayed here. So they took a lot of the expensive parts off of it, left the fuselage, I think that's called, laying here in the desert. A lot of stickers, a lot of fun people have with it, but this is the whole plane minus the motors and the interior. That's what's left inside the old plane. Some wiring hanging out there. And that's it. So you may be wondering, is it really at a brothel in the middle of the desert? It is. Brothel. Angels, Ladies. Right there. And it says, or it did at one time, truck parking. A drive-through or pull-through and triple trailers are available. That's it right there. You could drive off the highway, pull your truck in here, and stay for a while. Brothel, Beatty, Nevada. Not much else out here. Well, Lisa actually found some burros that are off in the desert there. Way off in the distance. I think we're on private property. We better be careful, but I don't think anybody's really bothering us. But there's some donkeys out there, all different colors. But I'm still fascinated by the old plane. And the backstory. Well, that's going to do it for today. In this adventure here in Nevada, Rhyolite Ghost Town, and of course from Beatty and the amazing plane that's behind me that's been seen everywhere, and the brothel. And until the next one, goodbye from Weekend Escapades. We'll see you in the next adventure. old brothel.